Hmm. There we go. Something's probably gonna break anyway. Shit always breaks. Right, let's see if anything's broken or works first time round, which I can guarantee you it does not. First things first, let's get the radio going. Wow, 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 wow. Oh, that was short-lived. Actually, that is a good point. While that's doing that, let's just do this quickly. Hopefully it works completely fine. It might break, it might not. We'll find out. I expect it to break at some point. Come on, Fallout. Come on. Oh, come on, don't crash. Please don't crash. Be a great start. There we go. Me and Bruce. I can go that way, so fuck you. Tell me I can't go this way. How fucking rude. Why am I coming around that focus? There we go. Ugh. I don't actually remember what it needs to be doing.
Welcome. Greetings, fellow. And now, Musogski asks us all to join him in silence and contemplation.
Finally.
May his
How you doing, Lyndon?
Enlighten your day.
How are you doing? I'm just trying to get things working because it's been a while. Things are broken. I need to get things back working, but I expect nothing less. I don't actually remember where I'm going to either, which is not ideal. That's where I'm going. And I feel like I've not played with it in a long time. Makes it a little bit worse. So I don't remember where I am, what I'm supposed to be doing, or what. Hello, testing. Okay, microphone works. That's good. My camera should be working, but it doesn't. See if this works. There we go. Well, we're back. Yeah, sorry about that. And I've got a new graphics card recently, and all my drivers seem to be a bit all over the shop at the moment. I don't quite know why. It's a bit annoying. But anyway, welcome in. Hey, Laura. How's it going? You can hear me? Sweet. How does the microphone sound? Hopefully not too bad. Like I said, it's not often on a stream at the moment. I'm just trying to get things back to how they were so I can try and get into some kind of schedule. I don't know who I'm supposed to be talking to. Oh, no, different on here. Sounds clear. I was going to say it's been a while. Yeah, I'm very intermittent. I'm trying to get back into a schedule, but it's not that easy with work and stuff.
Pull your hat out your eyes and get it properly fitted, you numpty.
Call me a fucking numpty. Can you hear them talk, by the way? Because there was a bug a while ago where you couldn't hear people talking.
Yes?
You can hear him talk. That's useful. All good killer machine, dude. I appreciate you swinging by.
Find yourself well.
Let me see if I can change that, actually. Settings, audio, voice is all max it out. So all max everything out. See if that makes a difference. So there was an issue a while ago with this mod.
You might want to think about making a U-turn out of here.
That's a bit better. Yeah, I mean, predominantly I tend to play a game called Foxhole religiously, but I can only really play that in the evenings. What the fuck? So we'll probably be playing that later on. Holy fuck. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. But believe it or not, there's been a few people who have asked me to play... Oh, sorry. There's a few people who've been asking me to revisit this game and play it and complete it. So, here we are. I'm gonna do something stupid. I've not got any... Oh, I am an idiot. Ow! Onyx is in fire! I can't fucking see them. I can't tell if you're friendly or not. Ah, that's sneaky. I could not see you there. Ah. I don't think you're tough. God, it's so dark this is as well.
This won't stop me. I don't back down that bravery. Stick with me. I'll know when it's over. Cover me. Your cowardice is rank.
You never watched any Fallout game, Lyndon. What is wrong with you? It's a bit different to Puck. Hey, Rip. Ah, yes, adverts. The thing that Twitch completely fucks everything up on. Apologies, they've changed all their rules recently, and I can turn them off, but it means you get hit with a big fuck off 5-minute advert at the beginning when you first join. I mean, if you've got to pick just one thing, then you got to, you know, pick Foxhole. It's a given. Pick Foxhole. Don't become a warden. And then here we are. Churchill, come here. What you got? What you got for me? Okay, he's got loads of shit abide. Can you carry more stuff for me? That's 0.5. Don't want you. I don't want you for now. You are encumbered as well. Delightful. Oh, I did have something. Oh, that's annoying. No worries, dude. Thank you for swinging by. I appreciate it. I hope work goes okay. Well, as best it can go for you. There used to be a light button. I can't remember what the fuck it was. I need to find out what that keybind is. Okay, that's annoying. Still there, dude. Take it easy. Are you friendly? You missed this? What, me streaming or this game in particular?
I can tell you ain't one of those gentry folk.
I am not a gentry folk. I am just a simple onyx. Oh, rip! Stop it. Now I'm gonna try and stick to a schedule. Because I'm not gonna lie, I do miss streaming. I really do. It's just all the bugs that come with streaming I don't miss. Right, I really stole. You're gonna be encumbered. No, you are not. Right, let's go up here then. Yeah, I'm trying to think how long it's been. I mean, I streamed Foxhole a few weeks ago for a few hours. But for me to come back to Foxhole streaming wise, I need it to be the next war. This war is dragging on so fucking long, and it started to get a bit annoying.
End of the line.
Oopsie daisy. I didn't know this was a bad place to be. Don't hit me. I put myself in a really bad spot here. Ow. Go, where's the hooligan? No. I'm not prepared for this. I'm not prepared for this. I was not prepared for this. I messaged Pingu as well, Rip, because I know he wanted to watch this. Are they going to follow me out? I hope not, because I am not prepared. I've got to walk in completely. screwed. Oh, let's just set fire to them. Fuck it. That'll work. I hope. We'll find out, won't we?
What the hell was that?
None of your business. Business. Hello. Die! No, not me, die. Magic milk. I don't even know half the stuff I've picked up. Nope. Surprise! Surprise!
I'll give you that one.
Flame grilled hooligan, anyone? Oh, actually, does this work still? That's not the right one. Ah, it does work. Okay, cool. Sorry. We'll just test something. Hello? Anybody else want to die? Yeah, I don't think you're going to bleed well, my friends. You are just asking for a Molotov. As much as I love Fallout, there's one thing I always forget about, and that is about checking my health. So before we do anything, let's just sort that out. Am I infected at all? I am. It's not really a perk though. Painkiller addiction. Oh great, okay. I've got a dog food addiction. Fucking great. Okay, so I need to find a dictol. Do I have a dictol? No, antibiotics. Okay, that explains a lot actually. That explains why I'm suffering so badly.
The fuck was that?
Surprise shot!
Bastard.
Get fucked! Let me just delete that and deny. Get fucked, you can. Block, block. Goodbye, deny. What the fuck was that? Anybody else want to taste the napalm? Hello? No? Okie dokie. You do. Goodbye. Roasted hooligan rip. That's what I call them. Roasted hooligans. I don't even know if I'm even supposed to be in it, to be honest. I'm just trying to get used to all the controls again. Though, where is my dog? I've just realised my dog is nowhere to be seen. Why have I got 2 of? Because I must have more, yeah, multiple guns I don't need. I want all tickets, so. Light bulb, cake pan, no ticket. Tickets, please, tickets. Where is me fucking dog? I need him. Iron brew. Hello. Stash. Oh, okay. So they just like multiple caps. Flame of fuel. It's like you knew it was coming. £10 coins. Holy fuck. Ashtray, don't want any of that. I'm very encumbered though. I need to sort that out. Turpentine. Don't know what Dexy does, but I'm taking it. Spring water. Bleach. No, no, nope. No. I don't need turpentine. Though I do need to remove some of this stuff. Oh, you might be useful. I'll take you. Let's just get rid of some stuff. I need to get rid of 15 weight. What can I get rid of? Stuff don't really carry weight, so. See, it's annoying because there's no base building in this Fallout mod, which does annoy me a bit. Go. I want you still. That vintage rifle is amazing. So, no, see, that's also very good. Not as good as that one, though. Is that? Are they both 15? Oh, they are. We'll get rid of a loud one. There we go. Well, no, I don't need... Ah, fuck. Oh, I don't know what I picked up. I don't need 2 flamers. Jimmy hat? I don't know what a Jimmy hat is. Yeah, I need to find my dog to offload some stuff. But I'm pretty sure my dog is also pretty full. So I need to sell a lot of shit. But the thing is, though, my problem with this game is I am very... I'm very hoardy. Like, I'll hoard everything I can hoard. Like, quite literally, I will hoard anything. I am that kind of player. Although, it's annoying, because I don't know where the fuck my pooch is. And I kind of need him. Hopefully it's not far. So I don't think you can call him back like you can in the original game. Silence. How you doing there, Rip? Hopefully you are doing good. I really should have put this on an SSD so it loads a little bit faster. I don't know what mission we're on, to be honest. I'm trying to remember where we are from last time I played it. Because I don't actually remember what I was supposed to be doing. I know it's somewhere in this area. I think it might have crashed. Hope it hasn't. I don't get how the hell I'm level 15 either. I've literally just been a goober. There we go. Yeah, where's me dog? Well, the fellow lost my dog is not good. Because I need my dog. He's got all my shit. I've lost my doggo, which isn't good because I need my doggo. I'm hoping he's... There he is! Follow! You stupid fuck. You gonna follow me now? Come on, doggo. Go on, Churchill. There he goes. Right, I need to go find a doctor. I'm trying to remember where the fuck a doctor is. I'm going the wrong way. Ah. Right. Let's go out of here again. I don't think I can spawn out of like an area. Silence. Don't know what I was doing that though. Let's have some background music. To set the world on fire. That's fucking bright. Can you hear that music, by the way, Rip? Good. As long as it's not too loud. I want to be like a subtle, you know. I can't wait for Fallout Season 2 either. That comes out in December, I hope.
Your mitts away from my head, thank you.
I know somewhere. That's where I want to go. Thames Haven Market. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, so I'm just trying to dick around some settings behind the scenes while we're loading. Ah, this is where I want it to be. There's a doctor around it somewhere. Alakazam! Alakazam! I fucking love the music in this.
Need help? You've come to the right place.
The turns out I get addicted quite a bit.
Take care.
Okay, good. So I'm no... What the fuck? Alakazam. You know what? I actually forget to come here all the time.
A fresh dry lander. What are you buying? Right. We have...
Oh shit! I literally. Oh, I need some more stuff. Okay, yeah. The
Nothing
booch.
like a swimming on Thames to make you feel alive. A fresh dry lander. What are you buying? You're keen, aren't you?
I'm very keen.
Take a look at what I have in stock.
Apologies, my app decides to crash again. Keeps doing that. It's getting a bit annoying. It's because of this new graphics card. See, I like all my guns. I don't want to get rid of all my guns. Let's just sell what I've got at the moment. Oh, wait, no. No, you're having that. I want that. Yes. Doggo. Move. You fuck. Come here, doggo. Hey, Ducky. How's it going, dude? What do you mean Churchill can't carry anymore? See, I don't need all that stuff actually either.
Your kind does know. The fresh dry about that human. What are you buying?
No wish, dude.
Weapons it is. Blunt, sharp, or shooty. You choose. Let the surface.
Am I still encumbered? Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. Come here.
We'll be safe here.
Yeah, solve everything I can now, which is good. So now I can actually have and carry what I want to carry. So if we just go into my weapons, just make sure I've got everything I want. I want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. I do want that. I don't want a 32. I want. It's like having a choice, you know. If there's one thing I've learned recently. There we go. Right, now we're cooking. We're getting there slowly now, Rip. Right.
Can I help?
What are the goodies you got for me?
What do you need?
183. That's ridiculous. You can go fuck yourself, my good friend. All good work. I'm just getting some supplies stocked up. I know one of these traders has food. There's ours over there. Fucking move, you weird alien fuck. I want that iguana.
Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat?
Go to the pub.
Now, what can I whip up for you? Specialty.
I'm just getting shit ready, so I don't have to fucking keep going back and forth, back and forth. Apologies, something keeps crashing. It keeps causing my webcam to go funky. I don't quite know why. It's really annoying. It's really off-putting. There we go. It's going to be one of those things I need to just keep refreshing every now and then. Right, what do you have?
Shroom pizza.
Try shroom pizza.
Attempts.
Shut up. Food cat. Can not make his mind up? Yeah, I know. I keep seeing myself freeze on my monitor, and I don't like it. Let's get a few of them. Let's get 4 pizzas. Holy fuck, no, scratch that. These things are elite. Holy shit, I didn't know how good these were. I want to make tea. Right, now, let's go do a quest. Pizza is tasty, and to be fair, it's actually making me pretty hungry. Wait, what? Can I travel where enemy nearby? The fuck? But there are no enemies nearby. We ought to today, Lyndon and Rip, anyway. You guys up to anything exciting? You chose to watch me instead of playing Minecraft. Rip, you are delightful. Thank you. Ah, it's daytime. Huzzah. Yeah, I'll be on Foxhole later. I'm Mrs. Free until Wednesday, so I want to make the most of it. Currently losing in Smash Brothers. I've never actually played Smash Brothers. I've never really been a big Nintendo Wii fan, to be honest. You about to work on Wednesday? Nice. I'm not looking forward to work on Monday. It's going to be so busy. But then I'm off again from Wednesday till Friday, I think. So I've got a wedding I'm going to. My dog. Where's my dog? God damn it! Oh, he's there. Come on, dog. When puck stream, I don't think a puck stream would be very, very beneficial. Tell you what, I'll do a puck stream when you beat me. How's that sound? Wait, do I need to go through there? No, I don't. Still a cut through though. Where the fuck is my dog? Oh, there. You just spawned in. Hello. I need to get across this wall. That's going to go like a really long way. Glam Clubhouse. Can I not just walk through? What's this? The scooter shed. Wearing gunshots. Ow! Where? What? Where? Oh, there. Fuck you! What the fuck? Yeah, kill him. What the fuck? I'm not down to a wrench route. I refuse to die to you. Die. Someone's got fucking fucked by one of them. Oh. Nope. Where are you shooting me from? Oh, there.
Nothing. Gotta be. What's that noise?
Oh, he's legendary. That's why he's being a fuck to destroy. Oh, no, that isn't the effect I wanted. Fuck. This isn't the effect I wanted at all. Yeah, maybe it was. Because that makes sense, doesn't it? Fuck off. You're useless. Oh, it's actually where it needs to go. Well, that explains a lot. Yeah. What do you got on you? Yeah, that's fine. I'll take that. Don't want that. Jojo? Oh, he fell. Okay, he's just stupid. Okay, you are dead. I'm pretty sure there was more enemies than that. They're all over here, that's why. Obliterated. Stop falling, you stupid dog.
I don't see anything. I think we're
That's
okay.
because you're blind. You're dealing with a mouse. Well, it's what I was expecting you to say, to be honest, Rip. Have you caught the mouse, or are you trying to catch the mouse? Where's Doggo? There's Pooch. Hey, Mr. Wisconsin. Not a lot. I didn't die, so that's a plus. Hey, Flexy. Yeah, why? I believe I am. I should be. I should be 60 FPS, 1440p. Should be. Why? Does it look bad? Let's just do a quick save here so I don't die. I can't quick save. Deload full. 1 sec, just to check. You may be paranoid now. I don't mind it. Don't forget, it is capped on this mod at 60 FPS. I wish I could go higher. There was literally no point. No point at all. Yeah, it's Fallout London, so it's basically just a massive overhaul of the main game. Yeah, for stability reasons, they only capped it at 60 FPS, which I'm not against, you know, because it is a very well thought of game. You know, there's so many little things in this, it's ridiculous. Hope you're doing good, dude. Hey, Lucky. How's it going, dude? Good to hear that, mate. Well, that looks sketchy. Cheers for a hydrate. I kind of want to go down there, but I know I need to go there. Fuck it. It's not gonna get stuck down here. You dead? Nope. You are now. Wait, what's me dog again? The home lab is currently turned off because it's very hot. I still want to play RimWorld. It's on my list. I need to go get my dog. He's bugged out again. He keeps bugging out and just getting stuck on ladders. But no, you'd be good to know though, Loki. I fixed that other server I was having with issues with the other night. That's now there. And it turns out I was just an idiot. Yeah, a few people have recommended RimWorld to me. Oh god, we've set off Linden. Yeah, it's been on my list for quite a while. Is it as good as you say, Linden? So if it is, I might pick it up when I get paid next Wednesday or something. I don't know. RimWorld in chat. Where's my stupid dog? What are you fucking looking at? Follow me, you dumb fuck. You recommend getting it? In that case, then I will grab it when I next get paid. Dog, I swear to fuck. Come here. Oh, the DLC's and mods to it as well. Come on, Pooch. No, why? Where do you want to go?
It's over.
It's not over. Hello. Are you all bugged because something's happening? Churchill is a little shit. Ah, oh right, okay, that might be the reason why. Come here, you. Oh, fuck, he has a flamer. Fuck, 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 fuck.
You better be worth.
Bear with, my thingy has frozen yet again. There we go. Sorry about that. Why are you running from? Don't come join the party now, you fuck. So I'm guessing it's probably worth the buy then, if you guys all like it that much. I know Lyndon's low-key obsessed with it. Oops. Where's the flamer dude? Where is the flamer dude? "30 minutes booting it because of your mods." What kind of mods are you fucking running? Where's my dog? Fuck. So what I'm hearing is that it's not a very well optimized game at all. Fuck! You're spit roasting me! That dog is starting to piss me off. More annoying though, there's a guy who's obsessed with fire repair. Get fucked! That's quite cool actually. See, mine's a little better than yours. Get fucked. Right, what the fuck's that stupid dog? Oh, there. You're a city fucker, you are. We've gone from being a fallout to Mexico. Dog, heal. This dog, he just has a mind of his own. Like, what has he got now? I swear to God, where is it? Churchill. I'm this close to swapping out for another companion. Stay. No. Churchill. You know what? You're annoying me. Stay there. I'll just make sure there's nothing on you I want. I'll take that. Alright, stay there, you stupid fuck. Give him an air tag. What, in fucking nuclear wasteland? No, I don't think it's going to work, I'm afraid. But I guarantee you, I forget where he is. That's what I'm going to do is actually just take a quick photo of where he is. I can't do that. I'll do that instead. I didn't go down there, did I? In the end. So I know he was there and we killed him. Oh, fuck me, that's a lot of rads. Okay, maybe not. Actually, do I have that, what's the name? Radaway, no. Radex? The resist. I'll text for that. And give it a go. I don't like ghouls. I have a... what the fuck? Why don't I always go black? That was really weird. Fuck off. Get fucked. Cherry Bakewell, fuck yeah. Right. I don't think there's anything worth down here. Hello. Don't want a bag of cement. I do want that though. Any other goodies? Not really. Born. I'm not in combat, am I? There's people up there, so I can't fucking use it. Fallout logic. Maybe I do have to go up here and go down there. Or something. I don't know. Because that's chained. But then I need a key. What?! So I don't have to go down here. So I did all that for nothing. What the fuck? Go to Islington. Oh, I thought I went to Islington. Oh, I'm an idiot. No, we're not being stabbed to death. So it's not a very accurate representation. I can imagine, like, if Fallout did happen, and, you know, everything went to shit, this is probably how it'd be. People would be losing their dogs. Excuse me. Bear with me, folks. Hello. You did behave. Right. It turns out I was in the complete wrong area. Wait, so I do need to go through. What the fuck? Nah. Oh, fucking hooligans. I'm getting bored of fighting you now. I missed every single shot. To the moon! Something is right with this though. Fuck off.
You're dead. You hear me?
Shut up. Come on. Oh, I'm not gonna bother. Alright, fuck that bit of furniture, I guess. Are you friendly? You are friendly. So it's telling me I have to go down there to Islington, but I don't think that's correct. Because it's chained on the other side. Oh, I swear to God. Where are you? I'm gonna fuck you up. Come on, come here. Heal. Stay. Said I've got to go down here. So, fuck it. We'll have cracks. I mean, I wonder if there's like a key down here then. There must be something. Wouldn't just not fucking put something here, would they? What's one of these ghouls have it on them? Keys? No? Hello? Anybody got any keys? No worries, dude. Catch you later. Enjoy your housework. Said nobody ever. Ooh. Okay, I'm confused. So I can't go that way. Well, there's literally nothing else I can go to for that. So, bamboozled. You haven't got a key on you, have you? Nope. There's no other bodies that I've missed. So I don't know, man. Oh, shit, yeah. There was that little ladder bit, weren't there? Where was that? I was in that same sewer, weren't it? If I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. It was down here, wasn't it, Loki? I'm sure it was. You missed it? You didn't miss much. I'm just trying to work out if I'm an idiot or not. Because there was a ladder somewhere. And I can't remember what the fuck it was. Ah, yeah, it was that door there. Let me up, you fuck. What's through here? So let's be climb up this time. Logic. I bet we just ghouls up there. That's annoying. So where were the enemies? Huh? Stupid fucking thing. Ooh, coffee pot. I need my stabby stick. Where are you? Get fucked. Get fucked. I love how it blinds me when I use this. Right, okay, but I haven't got my dog. Hey, Banjo. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate you. How you doing? It's my stabby stick. I have no dog, which is worrying me. Ooh. I can't play it. Or can I play it? No. Pound coins? Rip, just think of all the iron I can have with that. No, but Doggo's fucking somewhere else. He refuses to come down this tunnel. Right. Thank you for the hydrate. That was a lucky guess. Holy fuck. $19.22. That was one hell of a guess. What do you mean door can't be opened? Oh, hello. What? You can have all the cats, Rip. This cannot be opened. Well, that's not fucking true. Oh! What was it, 1922? Probably not. Chewy, out. Chewy, 100% yes. Bagheera will probably just bat it to death. Oh! Fuck off. Oh yeah, I forgot about these mods. Oh well. Right, but I need me dog. Yeah, see, Bagheera's just a big fat ball, so he won't actually do much at all. Like, what, literally, he's just... He is the size of a space hopper. I don't think you quite understand, Rip. He is fucking huge. So Bagheera was a dickhead this morning. So he decided to wake me up at about 7:30 by full-on slapping me round the face. Proper dickhead behaviour. I don't know where they are at the moment. They're not here at the moment. They're not in this room. And I don't really want to go out and try and find them because they'll end up being even more annoying. Right, but I need my dog. So where am I now? Well, okay, well I'm doing this completely fucking without Pooch, so... Probably gonna die a few times. Oh, that's my crit. Okay. That's power attack. Huh? Yes, hello. It is I.
Found you.
No, you haven't. I found you, actually.
Bash him in.
Get fucked, you receding, Trevor-looking fuck. Come here, let me stab you.
Not like this.
When I next go get a drink, Rip, I'll go see if I can find one of them. They could be outside on my door, to be honest. Why is that opacity? No, that's like 400 HP. That's ridiculous to use. Use that instead. Is that an iron brew machine? All the rads. That's so cool. Though it's fucking expensive iron brew, that. Hey, ATD. How you doing?
What the?
Please don't hurt me. Not doing too bad, not doing too bad. Just being a goober on Fallout.
Time to die, sneak. Oh, my head. Please.
No, 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 go away. You can't use stim packs. That's the stim pack you should be giving me, you fuck.
Die.
What? Why? What did I do to you? Yeah, we'll go full London style. Because we can't handle anything with our fucking hands. Well, that'll do.
Please. Not
Fuck
just
off.
like the rest. No, bleeding coward. Die.
I have your head. What? Yeah, not too bad. I went to a wicked show the other day. I think you'd like to go see. What show's that? I do like a good show. Hope you're doing good. All the gnomes. A Star Wars burlesque show. I do like that idea. I do like that idea a lot, actually. So just bear me 1 second. Just need to check. Yeah. Yeah, a Star Wars burlesque show actually does sound pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. No Coca-Cola. It's a sad day. In Bib. I mean, I don't know when that place is ripped. I'm pretty sure I went to a burlesque show years and years ago. And I didn't quite know what to expect. But it was quite good, actually, not gonna lie. It was right up my street. Bin Man and Cold Man. Poor C-3PO and R2-D2. I know, I understood what you meant, Rip, don't worry. I was just fucking with you. Actually, I need to bring back that questionnaire thing, because I made a really cool stream widget where literally you can press one of the buttons and it comes up on the screen. So I don't even have to read it. Slug. Who's Slug? Or do you mean Jabba? Jabba would technically be a slug, wouldn't he? There was one question that you got right every single time. I can't remember which one it was. But some of the shit you guys came out with was just fucking hilarious. I thought he would have been Slug, man. I don't like nighttime in this game. Let's actually try and go the right way. This makes me want to come out, want to go in there. Do you not enter, stay back? Okay, I'll let you live for now. No, I'll look into it. I mean, if there's like a link to it or a website to it, or something, feel free to send me a link over. Because I think I'm going to London in a few weeks. So if the timing's all good, I'll see if the missus would be down for it. I doubt she would be. Post boxes, I don't trust. I don't need setup in time. I never need setup in time. So spooky. I need to go there, but it's all blocked off. What the fuckity fuck? Fuck you, you fucking little boxing fucking fuck. Hello. Where's it gone? Yeah, apologies about the ads. Twitch have changed a lot of things. Adverts being one of them. Ow. You can't hit me here, can you? Haha. Yeah, you can. Yeah, not sure if you heard, but I made a Twitch extension where you can literally have it on the stream. So when you redeem it, a random one pops up like somewhere above here. And you all put your answers in the chat, and after the timer, it says if you've got it right or wrong. Shut up, you stupid robot. Yeah, I mean, it's instead of streaming, I've been making loads of random apps instead for other people. I don't quite know where I'm supposed to be going. I'm friendly. I'm nice. I'm a nice Onyx. Ow.
You want to see what we can
You
do?
know, but I'll pay for that.
Not like this.
Shit, they got me.
I'm not gonna miss this, am I? You get fucked.
Dead now.
Is that you?
Yeah. Bites the dust. Please. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna fuck me up. I love how your name's Slaphead. Come on, don't miss. Okay, not quite what I wanted to do.
Not like this.
That's all the fun there is, mates. About the servers for armor you mentioned, so we'll let you know. I mean, yeah, I've literally got dedicated servers down here now for armor. So if you do want one, I have 2 spare servers. Anyway, free Twitch class, I was saying I love a good. Wait, what? There's one where I'm saying I love a good teabag. I don't think I've seen that clip. See, shit like that, I don't have anymore. Which is a shame. I lost a load of my old quotes as well. Post it in the chat if you want, or in my Discord. I'm pretty sure you're back in there now. I still don't know where the fuck I'm supposed to be going. Because I feel like I'm just going around in a big loop. Where I need my doggo. I mean, I need to go to like that rad zone. Let's take a look at this quick. Oh, this is when I first started this as well. I see, it's such a shame that light does not work anymore. That's hilarious, that. That is hilarious. I love a good teabag, apparently. Yeah, feel free to. There's a lot of clips that people have that I've seen some of, but not all of them. Why do I feel like I'm going to have to go through one of these buildings? I'm pretty sure I can't go through there. Sorry, my camera's frozen again. Give me 1 second while I fix it. There we go. Apologies about that. It keeps bugging out. I was probably talking for a solid 5 minutes and you guys couldn't hear me. I feel like I'm going to have to go through one of those buildings. Yeah, what I was saying, ATD, is that I'm pretty sure I've got all the Hogwarts clips. Oh, wait, hold on. There's a door telling me... Oh, hold on. Have I found the door? Have I found the door I need? I don't know. Apparently I have. I thought I had found the door. I still haven't completed that either. There's so many games I haven't completed. Uh-oh. It's a rat storm. I don't quite know where I'm supposed to be going here. Yeah, I've just seen. Thank you. Thank you very much for doing that. I'm pretty sure I've got all them saved, but I will double check. Are they doors? No, they're too tiny to be doors. So that's telling me to go through here, but I can't go through there. What, is there a bit I can jump over? No, there's not. I should be able to see and download them myself. I believe I'm near the end of Hogwarts Legacy, to be fair. I just never got around to actually completing it fully. All I remember was that I was obsessed with trying to get the Avada Kedavra spell. And I just ended up using it every time. So it got a bit boring and repetitive. Yeah, that was me during... What's the other game I was playing? Quite a bit of. Hello, horsey. Nay to you too. Yeah, it is a good game. It's definitely a game I would like to come back to and complete. But by the time I get around to doing that, it'll probably be a Hogwarts Legacy 2. I've only done one playthrough. I didn't know there was more to it than just that. So it's telling me to go through, but I can't go through. There must be some way of going over. There has to be. But where? So let's be back to where I was here. Onyx is very confused. The map isn't actually very useful in this mod. It's quite a pain in my ass. It's beyond that wall. There's just like no way into it. Maybe we need to go in there or something and speak to someone. I don't know. We'll find out. No, because the sewer entrance is where we came in here from.
What's up, mate? Want to trade?
Let me go through the walls.
Sick. Take a look.
Oh, you have all the goodies. Well, you take 280. You do have 280. 8 around. Are you mad? You're mad, bruv. Epi, shut the fuck up. How you doing, dude? Oh, that looks like it could be nice. That looks like it could be fun to use. There's a cat. Meow to you two. I can't make any tea. That's just depressing. How you doing, Epi? It's nice that you've actually come off Daisy. I mean, we are Brits after all. You know, 400 tickets for not that many bullets. They can go fuck themselves. Do 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 do. Fucking love to. Of course. You just can't step away from fucking Daisy, can you? Nah, you're all good. No, this is Fallout 4 with a London mod, so it's been completely reskinned. It's a whole new game. But I'm trying to work out how to get across this fucking wall. Where's my guns? They're still there. Not see that, dude. Where was... Maybe I've missed something right at the beginning over here. Oh, this does give... Maybe I do need to go through one of these. Oh, hang on. I didn't come up here. This is new. I think. Oh yeah, this is new, but don't like me.
You want to see what we can do?
Well, that's what you can do with no legs.
Star? Is that you?
I will hydrate in just a second. Nah. Where are you, bastard? Not sure if you remember ATD. If you do exclamation mark clip, that does it all automatically for you now, for me. Literally very automatic. So that might be easier. There's one more geese around here.
You're just like the rest. A bleeding coward.
Oh, I see you. You're there. You're in the wall. Meet my little friend, Shucky. Oh, fuck. Ow. Get fucked. So maybe this is the area? That one, the clip command, it does work. I tried it earlier. I had to fix it. But it definitely works. Well, it should work anyway. Yeah, there you go. Still works. And then that one also goes straight to the Discord automatically. See? But then it works.
In the gut. Familiar.
Ow. Get fucked. You can also get fucked. Get fucked!
Fucking leg.
Well, you don't need a leg anymore.
Not like this.
Oh, is it out now? I know he updated it, but I wasn't sure if the update came out last week. You gonna go raid some kid? Alright, dude. I shall catch you later. Appreciate you popping in there, mate. I felt it got a bit repetitive sometimes. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy it, but it's just something about it felt a bit too repetitive. Right, bear with me, just reply to the missus. Rip would probably enjoy that a bit too much. Well, that didn't really do much as what I was hoping it was going to do. Just hoping that would have taken me into that little area. Of course you're playing that rip. Maybe I could go down there, actually. Well, I'm finding it hard to properly get into a game again. I must admit, because this was quite buggy the last few times I played it, which is partially the reason why I stopped. But it looks like they fixed all the bugs actually, which is nice. Huh! I see a gap! Oh yeah, Rip fucking loves playing with new people. Rip's a good guy as well. I've known Rip for years. Are you friendly? You are friendly. I have found something. The orange tan. Oh yeah. Right, okay. This is actually getting a bit more in depth. Because I'm finally... Oh no, I'm not past the wall yet. Am I? I might be about... I might about to be past the wall. English. I can't English today. Oh. Wait. On the ground. That's what I want. I don't care about Dutch beer bottles. I want to go underground. Fuck. Well, you're friendly. What's this like a little cockfighting thing? Hello, friendly people. Thank you. Okay, well, I'm taking this as a positive. Actually. Let's go into that checkpoint. But I'm a bit sad I haven't got my dog. Because, you know, he refused to go in the sewer. Hello, don't mind me. Hello, testing. There we go. Yeah, apologies. Nvidia is really testing my patience today. Really testing my patience. I don't quite know why it keeps bugging out. It's a fresh install of Nvidia Broadcast. There's literally no reason for it to be fucking up the way it is. Wait, what? I can't go that way. Well, that was fucking pointless. Why couldn't you just tell me that when I was at the first gate? Yeah, it's because I'm using it for my webcam and my microphone. But I don't understand because it's not using its full utilization either. Yeah, there was one driver update that actually fucked up my PC for an hour or so. I couldn't do anything. Well, that's fucking useless. I can't do anything in there. Which is annoying, because I'm pretty sure... Wait, no. I've gone the complete wrong fucking way. Oh, Onyx. Yeah, it came out on the 12th. Okay, well, here's me thinking that we've, made progress. It turns out we actually fucking haven't. Because the wall's over there. Not over here. Oh, fuck. I did not think there were going to be enemies. Uh, Shut the fuck up. You shoot like stormtroopers. Right, okay. This is starting to get under my skin a bit. Morris sings. That's clever. Still come over the fucking wall, man. Haha! Ha ha ha! Huzzah! Let's look apart, shall we? I actually think this... That should very good anymore. Right, progress. Right, okay, so it's one of these areas where it's full of ghouls. Sound. I have no weapons, and well, I'm running out of ammo very quickly. Oopsie. I'm an idiot. Come on. Come at me. Down to mush. So these guys really wanted to get out. Holy fuck. This red storm is horrible. I need to get inside. Ooh, free iron brew. Where's that? To that? No, give me the Nuka-Cola, you fuck. Right. I need to try and not die. Apologies, it's died again. I don't know why it's doing it. Gonna give up with it. Like, what the fuck is that trying to show? What? There we go. Honestly, I don't understand why. It's like Nvidia wants to fuck me off. Right, this radstorm's actually getting quite bad. So let's just get the fuck out of here. Into somewhere. Fuck me. What do you mean unchained? Oh, don't do this to me now. I'm gonna die. realised that's got a fucking adventure just to cross a fucking wall. Ooh, Mr. Kipling. Nice. Well, explains to me why it's taking me this long just to find this fucking stupid door. Which is the right door, I just want to put that out there now. Just for it to be fucking chained. Honestly. It's like it knows. But it's fine because it's progress. That flashing is really flashy. I apologise if that's hurting anyone's eyes. Wait, what? What do you mean socials? Social names? What, have I missed something completely here? Teapot. It must be down here. That looks very toxic. I'm contracting tunnel oh, fuck, yes. I forgot about this. Yeah, I can actually die in here. Because this stuff's horrible, toxic. Yeah, it's a bit annoying. Especially when they ask you, oh yeah, set your gamma to a certain radius. I mean, it's just horrible. Fuck! Stupid fucking mines. Oh, they're all tunnel coffers. I'm guessing you're all gonna die very soon then. Free goodies for next. Sweet. Literally. I know exactly what you mean by that. That is very annoying. Oh, that's fucking depressing. Right, okay, I'm kind of going on a side quest here I don't need to go on. Yeah, let's not get lost anymore, Onyx. I don't need to get lost. The dog's been abandoned. It was being a bad pooch. Oh fuck, is a slip in here? Sleep near. Oh, they died. Guessing that's for shitters. Don't know what you're doing. Don't mind me, but I'm loving all this free shit. don't like that rat storm at all. It's getting worse. That was a horrible noise. You dead yet? Nope. Oh, it's not 4 to 3. I wonder if I'm able to defuse that. Hello, Mr. Blowfly. Are you actually quite deadly? Oh, if she can take it on, I can take it on. Oh, no! I don't know where I saved. I really hope there's a checkpoint somewhere, because I can't remember how we got into there. Awesome. Okay, I can deal with this bit. Do I equip my gas mask? I did equip my gas mask. Okay, cool. I know this isn't the bit I came in beforehand. Not really much of a fucking trader station, is it? Back off. Let's say pro what? I'm a lot closer now. But it is the one I need. Oh wait, no, what? All I fucking see is red as well, Rip. Mine's fuck. I forgot about the news. I want to get all this shit again. Oh, she passed. Apologies, it's died again. Honestly, it's annoying. I'm gonna have to do some debugging later. Try and work out what it is. I've reinstalled fucking broadcast twice. That's where I need to go to 100%. Let's just save now. Hello. Stop being a little slimy fuck. I don't even have to kill this thing, I just want to because it's annoying me. What is squinting on me for? Look, you've got everyone here fighting you now. So it still decides to kill me. The logic. No, I don't like debugging NVIDIA stuff. NVIDIA debugging is the bane of my life. It'll either be something ridiculous, something to reinstall. They've fucked up their drivers. It's not fun. Right. Eat some shit. I'm not gonna fuck with that fly. Tickets, please. Tickets, please. This is just quite a morbid area. Like, everyone's fucking dying. I'm getting a fuckload of food and tickets, though. Your trash is now my gold. No wonder the dog didn't want to come down here. Ew. So what I think the plans for today is we'll do obviously this for the past 3 hours, well 2.5 hours. I'll probably be on for an hour or two. Get some food in me, and then I'll probably jump over to Foxhole for the rest of the evening. That's a maybe. I might even come back on this, to be honest. I don't want to journey through a station. I want your hat. Hello. Tickets, please. Tickets. I don't want the BMT fares. That's new. Brr. You missed Epi, by the way, Lyndon. He gracefully blessed us for 5 minutes. Oh, I don't use all the bow pins on this one lock. There we go. I mean, this cannot be opened. I'll just jump over then. Oh great, now I am stuck. Oh no, I'm not. Okay, good. Was this seriously part of the quest? Oh my god. I don't think I can access a computer. Yeah, it's dead.
Oi, wayfarer. You certainly look to be having fun in there. Is your throat not feeling a little scratchy? Ah, I see. You've got yourself a gas mask. Very innovative. Though I shouldn't be so surprised. It is you, after all.
Interesting. I don't like this. This is getting a bit spooky. And my weaponry isn't looking that good. Like, at all. Black clone? The fuck? What the fuck? Mate, these are new. What the fuck? Actually, that is on my list to watch, Rip. That is meant to be. Well, I could be thinking of something else, but I've heard it's not that good. There's quite a few TV series at the moment where it's on my wish list and I haven't watched yet. This cattle prod's actually really overpowered. Is it that good? Is it on Now TV? Got that many bloody subscriptions at the moment. I've lost track what's on what. Am I about to enter a boss battle in a minute or something? Because these things are weird. I mean, I do like the Alien and AVP series, so there's a high chance I probably would enjoy it. This is so fucking weird. Hello? I was on... Oh, okay. That I can watch because I have my girlfriend's account on my my TV. So that's useful. Okay. Well, that's what I need to go to, but I feel like I haven't explored everything yet properly. These mushrooms are weird. That will kill me instantly, I think. These creatures are fucking weird, but I love them. That's where I came in from. I want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Because these saw places where you'd easily walk past somewhere. Yeah, in fact, that is the exact thing I was trying to think of what it reminds me of. That is exactly what they are. I saw a room earlier. that I wanted to go in. Or it might have been that one, actually. Yeah, I think it was. Alright, let's... Ooh, scrolchy. Let's go up here, wherever this is. Oh, there's nothing here. Right, okay. That's not where I thought I had to go then. I mean, it doesn't help that I can't fucking see. They are very spooky. But I can't about to get destroyed here. Oh, I know what this is. It's just clicked. This is the guy who threw me up for train.
When we last met, I opened the door to give you a sporting chance. Well, Wayfarer, the game is afoot, and I plan to win. So this door stays closed.
Bay Panda, thank you very much for the follow. How are you doing? Thank you for tuning in. I'm currently having my ass handed to me in Fallout London. Well, you're a little fucker for not letting me in there. Spooky. It's worrying me that I'm running out of bullets very quickly. I mean, after this, I'm definitely going to go get my dog again. I don't like this.
You're not supposed to be in there. You're quite the thorn in my paw, aren't you?
Shut the fuck up, whoever's talking. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'm their dedicated, nerdy Discord bot guy. But no, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming and dropping a follow. I also love Fallout. I did start this playthrough a while ago, but IRL tends to get in the way of my streaming schedules quite a bit. Have you played all the Fallouts? Have you played this Fallout 4 mod? Because this is Fallout London. And I'll tell you what, I'm very impressed with it. What the fuck? You need to die very quickly. Ow. Don't like that. No, Lyndon. It is not in the room with us. At the moment, it's whenever. But no, I am planning on trying to get a schedule in place. It's just difficult. But no, honestly, it's really good. It's the first time as well I've actually modded Fallout 4. And I love it. This has actually been one of my favourite playthroughs so far of all the Fallout series. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Well, we're not talking about RimWorld, Lyndon, right now, are we? Though I am going to be buying that on Wednesday. So, is it a multiplayer game? Because I'm probably going to be pestering you quite a bit about it. I don't like I'm doing this without my fucking companion with me. Uh-oh. Oh no! Surely there's a mod that makes it... Ah, fuck. Go away. Go away! You've cornered me! No! You weird faceless fox! Fuck off. I'm not gonna miss from there, am I? I missed from there. This is just not going my way. Surprise! Oh, you've crippled my arm, you fuck. Have some of that. Stop doing your spinny spins. You motherfucker. I mean, if it's got a mod, then, you know, we can always check out the mod and try a multiplayer. Because it's definitely a game I'm going to want to spend some time learning about. Yes. Spaghetti? Fuck yeah. I need some spaghetti. Okay. This is just fucking weird. I don't want to take that. That I've got. What? It's like it's misleading me. I need to do something. Newspaper? Tickets. I just want tickets. That's all I want. Just give me your tickets. Actually, no. Let's just look at these terminals quick, because I know sometimes these fuck with me as well. Oh, they're just logs. Okay, not just about logs. Yeah, okay. We're not interested in those. Fucking turrets, man. Don't want to keep using that, but I'm gonna have to. Should have bought some more 303. Fuck! I just knew there was gonna be one there. Oh, fuck off, Mr. fucking wannabe spec op. You're gonna kill me. You are going to kill me. You are going to bend me over and kill me. How do you like it when I stab you? Huh? How do you like it? Huh? I'm a stabbing contest. Oh. Here, have a head. No, I don't want it back. Go away. Anyone else want to come out and try and fuck me up? Range underground station. Oh, excuse me. Come on in. Yeah. Right. I don't, so let's go this way first. Hello. Housekeeping. Oh, they're cool. Oh my god, I want you. Don't know what you do, but I keep collecting you and keep doing special effects. So you must do something. Owls, locks. Technical documents, they're always going to be useful. Shells, abso-fucking-lutely. Pumpkin pie. Tickets. Apologies, I need tickets all the time. Because tickets is caps in this mod. Why is there soap in there? That's weird. You only got these? Nope. Anything in here I can use? Nope. Yeah, thank you. Protein. Protein. Oh, I thought a train map would have given me something. Ow, do you really need your own fucking little toilet area? I don't know what that is. I have questions. Right. Nope. Stay in there, you. Did I say empty? Unlock empty. Okay. Oops. Okay, it literally told me there was nothing in there. And I was still stupid enough to go in there. Right, bear with me. Gotta reply to the missus quick. Well, I'll be streaming this for another hour or so, only so I can get some food in me. And then I'll be back on later on. So, I mean, what time's it now? I mean, it's, holy shit, it's 6:15, okay. So, I'll probably be on this for another hour. Probably come off for an hour, and then I'll be back online later on. Probably playing this, probably playing Foxhole. Not too sure yet. Kind of seeing where things take me. At the moment, no. I'm invested in this. And I want to see what the fuck happens. Because it's getting bougie. Milk. Sugar. Teapot. Thank you. Makes Onyx very happy. But yeah. I'll be back on later on. Regardless of what I'm playing. I will be back on stream. Unless there's something you want me to be playing later on, Lyndon. I need to find a tea station. I mean, they're actually really hard to find. Star Wars trivia? Unfortunately not moisturizer. Suspicious moisturizer. I'm guessing, Lyndon, you are now also invested in this. That goes to a train station. I don't know where this leads. I've not been up here yet. There's just so many doors. So many areas where people can fucking kill Onyx. Banzai! Oh, you've got a gun! No, that's not fair! No! They normally have knives. That's unfair. That's some bullshittery. That's some shit. I've got to go loot all that again. Oh. Okay, well, luckily, I just want to get the tickets, because tickets are useful. I'm not going there again. I'm not going to get the tea. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Lyndon. Because I fucking love Fallout. I mean, when I come back on later on ATD, I'll see if I can get the plugin working. Oh. It's a great game. I reckon you enjoy it, Lyndon, a lot. Yeah, not ready for you yet. Sorry. Say hello to my little friend. Fuck off. Any goodies in here for me? No? Okay. These things are so weird, man. We don't deserve a head. I'm gonna have so many tickets after this, man. Requires a key. Okay, so that's the way out. I've just got to find out what his key is. Okay, that's where those creepy things were. I've been in there. Your turn to die. Service pistol. How many does that take? 445, okay. But I need a key.
Commencing scan. Welcome back, Agent. Scanning complete.
Apologies, camera died again. I'm gonna just quick save if I can. Oh, also saving, okay. Okay, this is weird. Actually, let's just... Have they got better armor? Yes, they have. Fuck you. You creepy looking fox. Come get some! Not worth it. I go draw it down. Wait. Oh, control panel. What do you do? Spectacles. They look pretty snazzy. Who the fuck is trying to call me? Oh, it's not. Okay, it's done. Do. I don't like where this is going.
Initiate the Piccadilly Protocol.
The fucking what? There's 2 of them. There's 4 of them. Oh no. I'm not gonna be able to kill these. I've got. Is there 5 of them? No, it's 4. Okay. Let's make these shots count. I don't want to run out of bullets. That's not good. Yeah, this ain't gonna be good. I don't think I can do it. I think I might just have this. Don't know what I need to do though. I'm guessing this is correct.
Commencing scan.
Eat cheese and cooking a sten. That would be, yeah. I don't know what's happening. Am I dead? Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3. Was close.
Oh, you survived. Of course, that wouldn't have worked. I do apologize. You aren't the average adversary.
How you doing, Tom?
Fate is inescapable, isn't it? I must admit, I didn't quite think that plan through.
I didn't think that was going to
It
work.
seems our fates are somewhat aligned. I'll never be rid of you. And that's just something I'll have to come to terms with.
Wow.
You want answers. I know you do. And you will get them. Let it be known. When we meet at the Palace of Westminster, all will be revealed. But I'm afraid I'll have to leave you once again. In my stead, have London. Explore her. Get a feel for her. And most importantly, be
I
kind
forgot.
to
Oh,
her.
never mind. Cheers, Tom.
It's yours, if you're willing to pay the price.
I don't want London. Spooky. Traverse the tube tunnel. I don't want to. I'm doing good. The cats are doing good. We're good. Thanks, dude. I'm presuming you are just starting to stream Battlefield since I saw you pop up. Wait, but I didn't get the key. I must have missed something there. These things look scary, but they're yeah, they do a bit, don't they? Sorry, the camera's fucked up again. You know what? Let's just take that camera off and just use that camera instead. You can see my horrible background. Oh no, no, it's back. Okay, never mind. Fuck myself. I guess OBS. Yes, I look very snazzy. Inaccessible. Could be nothing in here, isn't there? It's gonna waste a fucking bobby pin. Burp. Oh, you get a bobby pin, I get a bobby pin. Okay, there's stuff in here. Okay, fine. Me. You gonna let me out? Okay. Still don't know what the fuck I am. Tunnel cough, fuck. Forgot about that. Okay, so is that quest line done? No. I do know where I need to come out of here. Get some health back in me. Excuse me. I do, however, need to go get a drink. So I will be... Ooh. Spooky. A lay of the land. So then I need to go to Westminster, which I'm guessing is that place where I beforehand. Right. I will be back. Just need to go and get another drink quick. So, BRB. Lyndon, that's such a you thing to say. Alakazam. To be fair though, they are bangers. Well, Lyndon, he spelled your name wrong. Well, why am I getting pinged so much? Right. Are you friendly? You have to be friendly. Oh no, the black clones are still there. But you're not showing us an enemy. Oh, you are now. Oh, fuck, was loads. Where's my fucking AP bar gone? Get fucked. Stabby, stabby. Call him Rob. What? Fucking Redstone needs to piss off. I don't know where I'm supposed to be going. Over here? What's down here? Oh, fuck, no, that's all lab. No rip. I know exactly what you're gonna fucking do. It crashed. Hello. Stabby, stabby. Ow. 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 Well, why am I using a knife? What am I doing? We know this works. Oh no, it don't work anymore. Fuck. I'm being shafted. Ah! Oh, oh fuck! There's 5 of them. Ow! Oh, don't do it in front of me, you idiots. Burn! Burn! Leave me alone! Go away! 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 Naughty clone! Yeah, come on, then. Oh, fuck off. Tickets. Right, now let's get the fuck out of here. Let's just get health sorted first. The music is a vibe. Right, it's starting to annoy me now. I need to try and fix it. So I'm gonna end it now before I get too far in again. But I actually really enjoyed this playthrough so far. So I'm 100% going to come back probably later on, if not later, 100% tomorrow. So thank you everyone who has come down to chill out with me. I appreciate you all, apart from you, Lyndon. No, I'm joking. I appreciate you. I need to find someone to raid. Ooh. Interesting. That could be a good one. So what we'll do is we will go and raid this person. Don't know who they are. Give me 1 second. Yeah, man, it's good fun. I'll definitely be back on. I'm not sure yet, to be honest with you. It'll probably be in an hour's time. But these guys are playing Fallout, so if you want to keep watching Fallout, there you go. If you don't, no, you're all good. But yeah, I'll catch you all later on. Bye.